You said earlier that it takes 60 days or 63 days to form a lasting habit. I know that's from your research. And I know the common belief is 21 days. So can you talk about where that 21-day myth came from and what have you actually found?
Absolutely. So this has been a lot of my life's work. A huge part of my life's work and research is because I've studied so much about how thoughts form, how those thought clouds form, and how long it takes for them to become established in the network and impact you. Because it's only the thoughts that have turned into habits that actually influence how you show up in life. So I wanted to know how that happens, how long does it take, and can you reverse engineer it? So the myth of 21 days to form a habit actually came in the 60s. A doctor, a plastic surgeon, was found that his patients were taking around about 21 days to heal. Now that's based on stem cell research. We know that our stem cells take around about 21 days to form and to heal a scar tissue. And if it's really a deep scar, it's multiple cycles of 21 days. So it's very interesting that there's that biological component. So a lot of researchers in this field of habit formation have been looking at what this looks like. And funnily enough, there hasn't been the amount of research that you think that there should be about this, because you all talk about habits all the time. I mean, Atomic Habits is number one for 8 years. So people are very aware of habits. 21 days is long enough for you to identify the habit that's the thing that you're doing, the habit, the way you're showing up in a specific way. That's what a habit produces, the way you show up. 21 days is enough time for you to find that and to deconstruct it and to start reconstructing it into what you'd like to be. So you say, okay, I've got this habit. I tend to react like this in these situations. Well, I always get irritated when this situation happens and I don't want this to happen anymore. I always do this in a relay. Once you've identified what that habit is that you want to break, 21 days is enough time for you, more or less 21 days is enough time for you to identify, to break it down, to find the source of potentially where this started, because we've got to go to the root. You don't have to get stuck there. You don't have to ask the questions about why do I have this root, because you'll never get those answers, or you may not get them. So we don't want to get stuck there. You don't have to spend years and years in psychotherapy to understand the why, because you'll never understand why other people do things. But what we do need is the power to understand that I'm showing up like this, not because I'm crazy or I have a brain disease, but because I've gone through something. And once you find what you've gone through, you also don't have to spend time reliving, especially if it's a traumatic experience, because that can also make it worse. You can just go to that point and say, okay, this is probably the source. You don't have to stay there. But once you've identified the source, you can reconstruct. Now, that is about a 21-day process. So that process is hard. If it's for something difficult, most people will give up between days 1 and 7. That's the most common trigger point, time point. The next time point where people give up is around about day 14. And there's certain challenges that happen on those days. It's a whole journey. And so what I've researched is, what is that exact time frame? What happens on each day? What can we mentally expect from each day? And then if you stop at day 21 is an amazing time, but it's dangerous too, because you think, oh my gosh, I know where I'm going to go. I've seen where this is coming from. I can see the future, and it's very exciting. But at the same time, if you stop there, the new thought that you've wired in, so that you took that stormy cloud, you found it, you took the storm out of it, and you started building a nice, you cleaned it up. It's still the same thing. You can't get rid of it. So you've reduced the storm and it's tiny. And now you've built a beautiful new white fluffy cloud around it. I'm giving you an analogy.
Yes.
That's in the thought field. In the brain, the network, that cloud looks like a tree, like a network, a neuron with dendrites. And if it's a toxic one, if it's the stormy cloud, it's all like bent and gnarly and swollen, and there's incorrect electrical chemical balance. Over the 21 days, like you've cleaned up the cloud, you've also cleaned up that network. So the ugly branch has become tiny, and you've got a nice clean network. Now, the problem is, if you don't go on to phase 2, which is the next 42 days, another 2 cycles of 21 days, that network and cleanup that you've done isn't stable. So what will happen is that it will actually become less and less stable and shrink and get really small. And then you're going to remember the work you've done, but you're not going to be able to apply it in your life consistently. And you're going to get very frustrated and think there's something wrong with you. And that can lead to all kinds of negative cycles. So especially between day 1 and 28, we get a dip, and we've got to catch that dip and move upward. So by carrying on for another 42 days, practicing stabilizing it, you will then turn it into a habit. So it takes around about 63 days If it's a big thing that you're changing, like a trauma, you probably will need multiple cycles.
I
So to
see.
give you a kind of framework, if you're dealing with maybe sexual abuse or something from childhood, you're probably going to need about, 6 cycles minimum, which is a year's work.
And one cycle is 21 days?
One cycle, 63 days.
Oh, 63 days is one cycle.
Yes, one day is 63 days. And so it would take probably up to 6 to 12 to fix up an abuse. Now, it doesn't mean that you're not going to function for 2 years or a year or whatever, or in those 6 cycles. You're going to be better every single day. But just so that you're aware, because of the impact. Now, if it's something less like just a bad habit, generally 63 days will be enough time.
I
Each day
see.
you've got to work. And that's where the neurocycle comes in. So when I was working with my patients, I work with traumatic brain injured patients, neurological patients, patients with dementias, patients with emotional trauma. They've got things that you've got to change. And so you work daily, a little bit every day. So I developed a system called the neurocycle. And I reference it in all my books, even in Help in a Hurry. And neurocycle is the system for how you find the stormy cloud, clean it up, and then in doing so, you clean up the network in the brain as well as the networks in the body. In other words, you find how you're showing up, you reverse engineer to find the thought that's attached to, and a thought has got all the details of the memory. So one thought could have 1,000 memories, it could have 10,000 memories, it could have 500. So you find the thought and you deconstruct all of its memories to find the source, and then you rebuild. You can never eliminate what's happened to you. Your story never goes away, but you're changing your story. So instead of it being all of a rain cloud, the rain cloud becomes a teeny little, tiny little thing, and the beautiful big cloud is what dominates. But that takes those
Yes,
cycles. So you do the neurocycle, it's a 5-step process. That's a
I see.
system of neuroplasticity. It's a system of directed neuroplasticity that you do daily. The first 21 days, you do it for about 15 minutes to 35 minutes. And then the second 42 days, adding to the 63, you only do it for about 5 minutes. Same 5 steps, but you do it for less. And the Neurocycle app takes you through it. And then the strategies of Help in a Hurry, my most recent book, a lot of those strategies you can build into step 5 of the Neurocycle.
What is step 5?
Step 5 is an active. It's called an active reach. So it's the work that you do for the day, and then you end off with an action. So you can find, Help in a Hurry is great for finding ideas. So that it blends very nicely together.
I think that's so fascinating, and it's amazing that so much of what you're saying is it aligns with a lot of other things I've learned from different areas of life, but I love hearing it from the neuroplasticity angle.
Thank
So
you.
for people who have, like, let's say they're going through that process and you're telling them they have to like clean up a memory or change a memory, how exactly do you do that? Like, let's say something's like painful, like what are the strategies?
Let's have a look just so people have got something to link into. Let's say that maybe you're dealing with something, like the chapter that I've got in my new book, Help in a Hurry, Help, the Past is Haunting Me. That is a statement that literally came out of the mouths of, as we said, from the survey.
Yes.
I mean, I'm literally taking what people are asking for help for, and that's a good example perhaps to use. So help, my past is haunting me. We all have a past. We all have elements from our past that haunt us. And so we need a strategy in the moment, and we need a strategy in the long term. So in the moment, what one can do is to think about, okay, my past is haunting me. It's visualize those clouds. So in the moment to say, okay, my past is haunting me. I need to deal with this. It's coming up. It's overarchingly driving the way I'm functioning on a day-to-day basis. So you take the time to acknowledge it. It's really important that you just take the time to, this is happening. There's a pattern. There's something going on here. And then you can visualize that rain cloud. I want to find that rain cloud. I want to start doing something about it. So it's a decision that you make to deal with it. The reason I'm stressing that is because it's much easier to just keep busy and, to not really deal with it. But if we don't deal with something, it never goes away. It has a life of its own. And so what we want to do is everything's energy. Energy is never lost. It's just transferred. So either it's getting stronger or it's just going to go into other areas. So we need to deal with our stuff. So it's a decision, as hard as it is to make that decision to sit down and say, okay, I got to do something about this. And then the next thing is to think, just to get you into this process before you dive into the neurocycle. So number one, make a decision to actually deal with this. Find a time to sit down and even don't have to take long. I mean, it's just It could be that you're going for a walk and you decide I'm going to do this, or it could be that while you're putting your makeup in the morning, or while you're getting your kids ready for school in your, whatever, driving back, whatever it is that's your life, you make that decision. It's really important. I can't stress it enough. I can give you all the strategies. Your therapist can give you all the strategies and listen to you 100 times in a year. You have to choose to do it. You have to say enough is enough and I want to do it. That's really paramount. Without that, you're just going to have a bunch of strategies, a bunch of nice books to read, a bunch of things that are going to make you say, yes, I agree with that. But for real change to happen, you have to say, this far, no further. I've got to make a change. Okay, so when you're in that mindset, you've opened all your neurophysiology. Your mind-brain-body network has opened up. You've shone a spotlight on the cloud, even though you may not even be aware of it yet. Your non-conscious, which gets things before you're consciously aware, is already zoning in and bringing it together, which is so amazing. And then from there, you're going to then start getting to the point where you can say, okay, if this is a past childhood experience, people know about ACEs, adverse child experiences. Maybe you could go and do an ACE test. They're online, they're free. But then also balance that with a PCE, which is the positive childhood experiences. So you don't want to spend too much time. The point I'm making here is you don't want to spend too much time in the negative. You want to also balance it with the positive. And then I explain that really nicely in the Help in the Hurry book, how to balance those. And then because what you want to do is you want to see your bad things happened, but I've got to balance that there's some good as well. That also shifts your physiology into being able to then do the work of the neurocycle. Then the neurocycle is that, okay, now I'm going to commit to daily making that change.